Hi, my name is Elaine Moan. I'm Grid Alternatives Benefits Broker, and I'm here to walk you through all the benefits you have available during this open enrollment period. If you have any questions along the way, please just jot them down and send them to us. Our contact information will be at the end of this presentation. GRID's goal is to provide employees and their families the best benefits at little or no cost to you. They want to make sure you take advantage of these benefits, so any problems or questions you have, please bring them to us. We're here to help. Now let's start on the benefits for 2019. As you can see, there are no changes in the benefits that are being offered. You still have the same level and same benefits available to you. Open enrollment, if you want to make any changes, is going to run from the 19th through December 3rd. After December 3rd, you are not allowed to make changes for 2019 unless you have a family status change mid-year, and that would include marriage, divorce, birth, anything like that. And then you would have 30 days in order to make that change. There are very few benefit changes this year, and these ones are all involving the IRS. So the IRS has increased the maximum for both HSAs and for the healthcare FSA, which is great news. So you can put more aside on a pre-tax basis. Other changes, which we are pretty excited about, is the FSA administrator is going to be changing from BRMS to Discovery Benefits. That really won't impact how the plan works. They will be giving you a new debit card and you'll have a new URL site to go to, but that's about it. The new interactive site is really exciting. This is something called Alex by Jellyvision. And if you go to this link provides you a whole bunch of information that we are very excited about. It will tell you what is an HSA, what is an FSA, and it will go through it in detail in really easy to understand language. How do these plans work? Which one is the best for me? And that actually is a really great feature of this site. It will calculate for you once you answer some questions to determine what is the best fit for you. So you don't have to guess which plan should I roll in. It will actually work out which one is best for you. You are required to take their advice, but it is available. And there's a printout available if you decide that, okay, these are the plans that I want, then you can take that printout when you go into Paycom and enter your elections there if you need to make any changes. This is what the site will look like. And again, it's very intuitive. It's very easy to navigate and to listen to and to understand. We hope you enjoy this site. Next, I'm going to go into the medical plans. There are two plans available for medical, and they're both PPOs, and I'll go through the difference between the two because they are completely different plans. So the first one is called a $1,000 PPO, and what that means is you have a $1,000 deductible per person or $2,000 per family. If one person in the family meets the deductible, then they're done meeting their deductible for the rest of the year. Coinsurance level is 20%, and that means that the insurance company will pick up 80% of your costs, and you pay 20 for anything that you see a percentage after. So for example, on this spreadsheet, it would be hospitalization, but it would also include outpatient surgery, lab and x-ray, things like that. The deductible does not apply to office visits, preventive care, or prescription drugs. So it only is applicable in certain situations. And there could be situations where you would never use the deductible at all if you just go in for office visits or prescription drugs. Preventive care is really important because it is free to you, but if you go in for a preventive care visit and while you're there you say, oh, by the way, my back's been hurting when I do this, that takes it out of preventive care and into an actual visit, and then you will be charged $40. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. Now we'll go into the HSA, and this is a little more detailed, so I want to make sure that we discuss the full benefits of it. The PPO network allows you to see providers that are in network that provide you discounts. Out of network, they can charge you whatever you want. So the reimbursement amount is based on what's reasonable and customary. As you can see, it's much better to go in network because you also get higher benefits. The deductible that's mentioned here, the $2,500 or $5,000, must be paid before any other benefits are paid. So you are responsible for paying that $2,500 or $5,000 per family. One other thing I want to mention is that $5,000 per family, that's for every family member combined. You are considered one unit. So if one person reaches the $2,500 deductible and you have family coverage, it doesn't matter. You have to reach that $5,000 before anything is paid by the plan. And note that once that deductible is met, you've met all the payment requirements for the year, and everything else will be covered at 100%. Now, there is the benefit component, which we just went through. But the other part of an HSA is the bank account. So with this plan, you see there is a $2,500 deductible, for example, for employee only. Well, you can pay for that by setting up this bank account on a pre-tax basis. And the great part about this is that GRID will help you fund this account. So they will give you up to $100 per month for single employees or up to $200 per month for employees with any dependents. So this is a huge benefit for you. It reduces the amount of out-of-pocket that you have to pay. In addition, those deductions or those funds that GRID gives you, those are yours forever. So here's some common questions that we get about HSAs. I went into the doctor's office and they charged me $150. What is that all about? Usually when you have a regular PPO plan or an HMO, you just pay a copay, maybe $40, and you're done with it. But with an HSA, you are responsible for the full amount, and you would use your debit card to pay for that. Same thing is true on prescription drugs. If you get a prescription drug for $75, you are responsible for paying that $75. So just make sure that you're aware, you understand how this plan works. But that's what your debit card is for. And make sure you use your debit card to pay any balances so that you do not have to pay out of pocket. Another question is what gets deducted from my paycheck. So first of all is if you have any dependents covered under your plan, there are some deductions, the cost of the contributions for your dependents. Employees pay nothing for their benefits. In addition, if you choose to elect into your HSA bank account, then money will be deducted depending on if you've elected anything. It will not deduct GRID's funding because that is an extra benefit that GRID is putting in for you. So an HSA savings account means that it's a savings account that is pre-tax, that you can earn interest and distributions for qualified expenses. And they can be taken on your taxes, or you can take them pre-tax through your paycheck. Excuse me. You have the ability to use that money for any medical, dental, vision, or long-term care, except we strongly suggest you only use it for medical because we have another tax savings product called the flexible spending account, which you can use for dental and vision if you decide. Just make sure you understand if you are in any of the states below that state taxes will apply. So it's tax-free on a federal level for those states. Who can participate in an HSA? Well, basically, if you have only one plan and you're enrolled in the Cigna HSA 2500 plan, then you can participate. If you have a spouse or anybody else in the family that is covered by a regular health insurance plan, you cannot participate in this plan. You can only be enrolled in an HSA in order to participate. In addition, you can't be on Medicare, and you have to be, if you're a dependent, claimed on your taxes. So if an employee has a dependent, they have to be claimed on their their taxes in order to receive benefits under the HSA. Contributions to an HSA, as I mentioned at the beginning, the federal maximum has increased. GRID's annual contribution has remained the same. And then if you want to contribute more into your account, you don't have to, but if you do, those amounts are also listed. In addition, you can contribute if you are over age 55 up to an additional $1,000. Cash distributions are really important that they be qualified. And by qualified, we mean that if they're listed on the IRS publication 502, as a general guideline, that would be anything that's medically necessary. Anything that is not medically necessary. So say, for example, you use your debit card on accident at the grocery store to pay for your milk and eggs. That's not qualified expenses, and you're required to return the money into your HSA as soon as possible. You can't use it for over-the-counter medicines. You can't use it for any cosmetic surgery. So if it's ever used for anything that is not qualified, then you can be penalized up to 20%. So it's really important to make sure all the expenses you use your debit card for are for medically necessary services. I'm now going to go into how both PPOs work. Because this plan is self-funded, it means that you don't have an insurer that you go to because GRID pays all the claims. So if GRID pays the claims, they use a company called BRMS to pay those claims. BRMS also confirms the eligibility. Cigna only provides the network providers and the discounts. So when you go into a PPO, when you go into a provider, whether it's a doctor, urgent care, emergency room, lab, hospital, you would not say, Cigna is my insurer, and you want to make sure that the provider is not looking up Cigna because you won't show as eligible under Cigna. They're only the network. What you would do is give them your BRMS ID card, and there's a telephone number on the back where they can call to confirm eligibility. Once you go in network or out of network, the claims then go to Cigna so that they can apply the discounts, the doctor's discounts, or if you go out of network, then you're responsible to send the claim directly over to BRMS. Once Cigna applies an in-network discount, if it is in network, then they send the claim to BRMS to be paid. BRMS then reviews the claims and sends it on for payment. BRMS will send you something called an EOB, an explanation of benefits. This is your documentation of what the actual cost was, what the discount that was provided, what is owed by you, if anything, and what maybe you've paid if you've paid your copay. If it's non-network, the EOB will just show you how much is due. If any amount is due to the provider from GRID, BRMS will pay on your behalf. If it is due by you, you are required to pay that provider. Here's BRMS's contact information in case you need to contact them. We'll also have this information on the very end of the slideshow. Next, we'll go into dental and vision. Nothing has changed on the dental and vision plans, but I do want to point out two things. One is that the non-network benefits are based on reasonable and customary costs. So for example, basic services are covered at 80% based on what 95% of the dentists in your area charge. If your dentist is one of the dentists that charges 5% above, or in that 5% area who charge more than what is reasonable and customary, you're required to pay the balance. Second thing I want to mention is something that's very important. If you know you're going to have some big dental expenses, anything over $350, make sure you ask your dentist to do a predetermination. What that means is the dentist files a claim before you have the services with Reliance Standard. Reliance will then process it and say, this is how much we'll pay. So at that point, you will know how much your service will actually cost. And if you choose If you determine that's too much, you can always use an in-network provider and get discounts on the amounts that are provided. Or you can ask your dentist if there's any other services available that will do the same thing. Vision benefits don't change. The provider network is still Vision Service Plan, which is the largest provider in the United States. You still have exams and lenses every 12 months and frames every 24 months. Flexible spending accounts has been moved to Discovery Benefits from BRMS, and it works basically the same. So any amounts that you decide that you want to put aside pre-tax can be used to pay for either healthcare expenses or dependent care expenses. Please note that this is not like the HSA. It does not roll over year after year. Instead, you will lose that money at the end of the year if you do not spend it. Now, GRID has implemented an allowed exception to this rule, and if you have any benefits at the end of the year, any amounts in your account, you can use that money for up to 2.5 months after the plan year ends. So say, for example, you've enrolled in 2018 and it is now November or December, and you have $500 still available in your account. You can incur expenses up through March 15th. And once those expenses are incurred, then you can submit for reimbursement, but you only have till the 31st of March in order to submit those expenses. So an FSA, what it does is you elect an amount pre-tax. So whether it's, you have some prescriptions or co-pays or deductible, and you know you're going to spend that money, you set that aside, say $300. Then the account will take that out in equal increments out of your entire paycheck. For the flexible spending account, the amounts will, for healthcare flexible spending account, the amounts will be taken out, but you have access to the full total as of January 1. For the dependent care, you only have access to what you've put into the account so far. So for the healthcare spending account, as I mentioned, eligible expenses would include office visit co-pays, prescription drug co-pays, deductibles, anything that's considered medically necessary. For over-the-counter medicines, it has to be with a prescription drug prescription that the doctor has provided you. There is a limited FSA for those people that are enrolled in the HSA. And the reason why is because you're already getting a discount or tax-free benefits for medical expenses. So this would be set up just for dental and vision. You don't have to enroll in it, but it's an extra tax savings plan that you can have if you want to put aside more money. The dependent care account is completely different. That can go for anybody, whether you're in the FSA, HSA, or in no plans. It allows up to $5,000 per family. So if you are married, filing jointly, you've got to make sure that you and your spouse don't contribute more than $5,000 total. It's for children up to age 13 or adults who are with you more than 8 hours a day. For example, if a parent lives with you. And there are various expenses, but they all have to be expenses that are incurred because you and your spouse work. So it's not while you want to have some time off. It has to be while you and your spouse in order to enable you and your spouse to work. So there are some benefits that are provided to you free of cost by GRID, and the first is life and AD&D, and you get 1 times your annual earnings up to a minimum of $50,000 for both life and AD&D. If you are disabled for any reason after the 8th day, the short-term and long-term disability plans will pick up to 60% of your pre-disability earnings. If you're in a state that has mandated benefits, disability benefits, like in California, there is California SDI. In New York, there is DBL insurance. This coordinates with that plan. So it's not 60% of your weekly maximum on top of what the state pays. It is coordinated with that. The Employee Assistance Program provides assistance for any life situations where you need to discuss problems out with a counselor. There's unlimited 24/7 toll-free line service. There's also up to 5 face-to-face visits with a licensed counselor. There's also telephonic support for legal and financial, and there's also a free online will preparation. So we strongly suggest you check these services out. So for enrollment, you'll be going through Paycom. Only if you need to make changes do you need to go into Paycom, except for the flexible spending account. That one you must enroll each year if you want to participate. For life and AD&D and disability, the only thing to do is check to make sure that your beneficiary is up to date. Enrollment information is included below, so you'll see you could go on to paycomonline.com, and feel free to ask HR if you get stuck in this. Enrollment ends December 3rd, so it's very important to make sure you get any changes you want in by that date, and this will all be effective January 1. Here's the list of contacts internally. So you have GRID HR team, but in addition, you have my team, KBI's broker team. I'm Elaine, and also Megan is available for assistance anytime you need it. Here are medical contacts, dental contacts, and flexible spending like Nadine, EAP, and Alex, and Paycom. So feel free to reach out to any of these sources. If you have any questions with claims, any questions at all, please feel free to let us know. Thank you for listening and hope you have a good day.